Hey everybody, it's me, Cyan. I wouldn't be surprised if you forgot because I kind of suck at posting videos, so. But we're back, it's 2018, it's a new year, same me, for the most part. Yeah, I do have one thing before we just jump right into it. Last winter break, I was really lucky to spend time with my parents and go back to the Dominican Republic and see family and friends and just, oh, it was amazing. But my cousin, unfortunately, I told her we were gonna film a video and I just didn't because I suck. But this is my cousin Melanie and she just wanted to wish you guys a happy new year from DR. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill that little video in right here.
Bye!
Ah, she's so cute. I love her so much. Melanie, te amo. Mwah. And hopefully I'll get to go back soon over there. So as most of you know, if you've been paying attention to literally anything that I posted or done, I just got back from a semester abroad in Florence. This video is just a few things that I wish that I knew or was thinking about before I left. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing is studying abroad takes a lot of preparation. Sounds kind of obvious, but it wasn't to me, so here we are. So in between getting your passport, getting your visa, packing your entire freaking life away, saying goodbye to all of your friends and family, deciding what you should bring and what you shouldn't bring, and trying to still stay excited about the whole thing, there's so much stuff to do before going abroad. So don't be a dum-dum and leave it until the last second like I did, because then you're just gonna be so stressed out and not even gonna have time to like say goodbye to anyone or do some of your favorite things in the city or wherever you are. So the second thing is, at least in Florence, you don't have a lot of access to some of the things that you can usually just go down to the local Walgreens or CVS for. Some examples of that are, and this was the most annoying to me, was that in Italy, Italians do not use tampons with applicators. And there's only really the like super shitty, sometimes like Tampax ones that are paper, which I personally hate, or the ones that you just stick them up there yourself. Also not really interested in that whole wave. So if you're like me, go ahead and anticipate that and bring these things with you. If not, it's kind of a pain in the butt and you can't really do anything about it. Other things that they didn't really have are like chapstick. The Sephora in Florence is pretty limited, so I had to make sure I kind of had all of my makeup enough to last me for the rest of the semester. Also, international food is pretty hard to find, at least Latino food. I personally love when my food actually has flavor, so I cannot live without Goya seasoning. So I was really struggling because I didn't think that through and didn't think about it, so I was seasonless for about the first month and a half. Here's a pro tip. If you go to this place called Mercato Centrale, there's this kind of like little market on the first floor and they have a lot of fresh produce. It's really cheap and like really great stuff. But the important part is that there's this like Latino Hispanic stand and they have Goya seasoning, Goya beans, red beans, black beans, rice, all kinds of things you need to cook up some arroz con habichuela. Like you're set, you're good to go. You'll no longer be deprived. Ultimately, like I said, you're not gonna have access to most of your traditional skincare brands and that kind of stuff. Also, customs are a pain in the butt in terms of how long they take and how expensive they are. So really try not to need to ship anything because that's just a waste of your time. Bring your stuff, be prepared. The third thing is you're really gonna have to step out of your comfort zone if you're studying abroad. What I mean by that is that one, you really should be engaging with locals and actually making an effort to use the language and words that you've been learning outside in the real world. All the Italians and Florentines know that there's a bajillion study abroad students and like I'm sure that gets super annoying. So if you're actually making an effort and trying to order things or speak to them in Italian, they really appreciate it, and in fact they're gonna end up helping you a lot of the time, and it just makes the experience much better for everyone involved. Another thing is obviously trying new foods and experiences, and step out of just the pizza and pasta, which is really why I went to Italy, but definitely trying different foods and different flavors because there's so much that makes the food there so good. So just don't pull up to every place you go and just order cheese pizza. As good as that is, just try something new. On top of that, you kind of have this unique opportunity to get this almost like liberal arts college, like very small amount of students experience, which is super cool, but also kind of scary because it's not like you're just meeting new people every 2 seconds. There's a set number of students and you see them like all the time, every single day. So really making an effort to meet the people you live with or meet people in your classes, because it's gonna make it that much easier to find the perfect people to travel with and spend time with, which really is what makes the experience so great in the first place. The fourth thing is do some research on where you're going. I did not do this out of sheer laziness, really. Now I really wish that I did. For example, I found myself pretty shocked at a lot of the cultural norms and just differences that there were in Florence and between here in the States. For example, men in Italy in general are just a little less respectful of women, to put that very nicely. We would go out a lot and we quickly learned that men really, they'll just snatch and just have no boundaries and no respect for like your personal space, your personal bubble, and like you going out with your girlfriends to have a good time, and like they do not care. So y'all really gonna have to get in on these strong elbows. Another just general kind of opinion that Italians tend to have, or at least people in Florence had of Americans, just because there's so many of us, was that we're kind of happy-go-lucky and like careless and kind of there on vacation, which I definitely could see them thinking, but also just be wary of how they're perceiving you from the get-go, because it's obviously really important to know what people are thinking about you before you go into a space and just start, you know, it, for a lot of obvious reasons. Ultimately though, knowing what I know now, I still would have gone, but I just would have liked to have like come with some pepper spray or something and just been a little more prepared. Just in general, doing your research ensures that you're going to a place that you are still gonna feel comfortable in. Because if you're not able to handle these cultural norms, or if they're just kind of too overbearing or just too much to deal with, which is obviously incredibly valid, then it's not worth it to you to put yourself through that and go somewhere that you're just gonna have a terrible time because of the local culture and the people and just things that go on there. So do some deep digging and definitely make sure that that is a part of your decision-making process when deciding where to go to study abroad. The fifth thing is that classes are not some easy breezy, beautiful cover girl experience. There's this, at least this is for NYU, I feel like a lot of people were telling me, oh, study abroad is so happy-go-lucky, like, oh my God, it's so easy, it's just a GPA boost. And some parts of that were true, but also some parts were not. My workload was pretty similar to what it was in New York, to be honest. Lots of reading, because I was still doing liberal studies core classes, and it wasn't like I just had to show up and get an A. Luckily though, because of the environment that I was in, it was a lot less stressful, so I was able to kind of succeed more. But in terms of the workload in classes, it really wasn't that big of a difference. In fact, the attendance was actually really, really strict. Here in New York, if it's like a lecture, you can definitely get away with not going every now and again or something like that. But they were really strict on attendance. I think, if I remember correctly, you get like one free like absence or whatever, but after that, it's 2 percentage points, I think, off of your overall grade, which was like wild. If you're thinking you're just gonna go and like be on vacation and traveling all the time, not necessarily true, but there is definitely a plenty of time to go ahead and do that. The sixth and final thing is that Florence and just being abroad in general can be really, really expensive. I'm a broke bitch, so I was like, okay, I got $5 that will hold me off to the rest of the semester. Obviously not true. It's definitely good to have a couple of thousand before going abroad, just because like, obviously it's the same, like you have to buy groceries and you have to buy you know, life supplies, I guess, and just traveling also really adds a lot of money, and there's a lot of fees and stuff that you just can't get out of paying for. So also, depending on where you go, food can also be kind of expensive. There's a lot of places that will overcharge if they know that tourists are walking by, or if they're just like super bougie and whatever. There's obviously much cheaper places, and the food quality is just as good, if not better. So make sure that you're kind of doing your Yelp review checks or asking the locals what their favorite places are and doing things like that. Those are the 6 things that I wish that I knew before studying abroad. It was a phenomenal experience, especially as someone who had no desire to study abroad when I got to NYU and just kind of made a spur of the moment decision. I really don't regret it. I'm really glad I took the risk, made some amazing friends, and studied abroad. But other than that, that's pretty much it, y'all. I will go ahead and see you guys in my next video, and that's it for now.